That was requested. I had to open up with the music today. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Just waiting for everybody to get in here, and then we'll start getting to it. We got a lot to discuss today. Got some events to go over. Some he said, she said stuff that we're going to talk about. Some advances, some retreats, some highs, some lows, some ups, some downs. We'll go through it all. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Just waiting for everybody to get in here, and then we'll get started. Oh, hold on. I got to go retweet my live on Twitter real fast. All right. Okay, all right. Boom, boom. All right, we're done. All right, what do we got? We're looking okay. We can go ahead and start here. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. This is episode number 52 of Kalibrated Live with Scott. I am Scott, of course. If you guys would care to support me, or if you would like to find more of my work, if you are watching on YouTube, go to the description. You can find my Telegram, my Twitter, and my Patreon there. Follow me there for all of my updates. I do some different stuff on Telegram. And then the Patreon, guys, I am looking for ideas from my audience. I want to know what you guys want on that Patreon. What would potentially make you subscribe to that Patreon? Whatever. I want to hear from you guys. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. I'm kind of at an impasse on what to do with it. I don't want it to just sit there because I feel lazy and like I'm taking advantage of anybody who joins. So please send me a message. Let me know what I can do there. Other than that, super thanks, super chat, super sticker. If you guys ask questions during the live stream with those, I will definitely 100% answer them on the live stream. If you ask a question, I might get around to it in the chat at the end. Without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and just hop right into the map, eh? There we go. All right, I'll make myself disappear. No need to see that ugly mug. Am I right? Okay. Here we go. Let's see. Good evening from Scotland. Welcome from Scotland. I'm glad some of my Euro bros can get in here to watch some of this live stream because I was doing them later for a while, and I know a lot of people missed out on those. So, all right. So first update. Not a huge update. It was sort of a gray area. I mean, it's an important update, but it's not. I think it is overrepresented on this map. It appears now that the Russians have completely captured this forested area just south of the micro-district of Chasiv Yar and just north of Ivanyvsky. And this brings them into contact with the Seversky Donetsk Canal. There was geolocated footage in this region of Russians sheltering in potentially previously Ukrainian positions that are now occupied by Russians. The grenades were being dropped in their direction. No clear sign of if the guys were forced to retreat or anything. But it is pretty clear that the Russians are at least on the canal and likely across the canal. This is a big deal because this canal should be a very strong defensive barrier. And if the Russians are already able to breach it, it could severely compromise the defenses on this side of the canal and allow for this micro district to be captured quicker. There was a Russian pullback. I don't know if the Russians ever actually had full control of any of these initial buildings. I had it marked because there was a geolocation, but for about the last week, the Russians have basically been free fire on this zone with grads and FABs. So I do believe that the Russians are still back over here in this little forested area, potentially in these first few houses, but it does not appear that the Russians are actually in this high-rise building in this section of Chasiv Yar. So again, before they even got in, they need to basically shore up both of these flanks because it's just very difficult for them to actually penetrate into the town before the flanks fall. So that's the goal right now is Kalina and then over here where they've already crossed. And this also potentially sets up the Russians to begin pushing down this T0504 highway right here, clearing up most of this and then beginning pushing down the canal as well as pushing up the canal. So This could be the start of the collapse of this southern Klishchevka area for sure. All right, which, by the way, has the Ukrainians have been doing a fantastic job defending this area. They have been doing an amazing job. The Russians have been not overly aggressively trying, because I'm pretty sure they know that it's a death sentence if they try to smash their way through this area. They have to compromise everything around it. This hill fortification over here is just very strong. So the Russians are having a hard time pushing through this. I thought Klishchevka was going to fall a little bit faster, as Avdeevka was falling and stuff, but it seems like they are doing a very good job of holding on to this. This seems like Syrskyi's glory right here to me. That's what this seems like. And he's going to fight with all of his will to hold on to this, because this is what he earned back during the counteroffensive on this front. So, all right. Moving down to Ocheretyne, and this is the title of the video today, 10 kilometers to the ring road. So I have talked about Pokrovsk. It is important. And I do believe that the Russians are going to continue along this rail line. However, the short-term immediate goal for the Russians will likely be reaching this ring road right here. It's called that, obviously, because it spirals out. Not that it has any specific significance other than it being a crossroads for, that leads to Konstantinivka. So it's an important supply route to Konstantinivka. It's an important supply route to Pokrovsk, two major hubs. This is an important artery that connects the northern Donbass defense network to the southern Donbass defense network, right? If this gets cut, they're going to have to go back out here. It's going to be a much longer way around. It just creates a lot of problems. So the Russians are going to continue along this high ground, likely capturing Novo Alexandrivka, and then I'm not trying these names back here, guys. So these two towns, capture them, and then move up and capture this ring road, cutting the road, and then gaining access to the highway as well will be beneficial for the Russians to begin moving down towards Pokrovsk while they work this way and up towards Konstantinivka and behind New York and Toretsk. This is like the wedge. The wedge is being pushed in right now and prepping to separate the southern DPR from the northern DPR. It's going to be a battle, though, because they can't just push straight through in a little line. They're going to have to capture some of these other settlements as well as they shore up their flanks to reach this area. But it is 6.3 kilometers away. So that's just about 6.3 miles away, which is just about 10 kilometers. So very important. In terms of updates, the Russians have pushed out from Ocheretyne along this high ground. I'm going to show you guys on a topographical map. I have one saved that I'm going to draw on for you so you can see what I'm talking about. But the Russians will continue to push out along this rail line right here until they reach about this area. I'm going to open up my presentation so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This should be the immediate goal for the Russians. It allows them, and I know it might look a little overextended, but what it really is the Russians just controlling this entire ridge line and looking down on all of these settlements in the near future. So I'm going to take us over and show you guys that real fast. All right. All right, so here's the topographical map of Ocheretyne right here. You can see this is the settlement that the Russians have captured. This is the new gain that they just made in this territory. What I was talking about, I guess I will do it in orange. What I was talking about was this right here. Boop. Oh, I still have arrows on. Hold on. So this right here, Once this area is captured, the Russians will have full control over the high ground, right? And it might look a little overextended, but when you look at the topography, you can see that it's very hard for the Ukrainians to counterattack either of these two ways. And then following that, they will be able to begin pushing down into, let's do white, down into this next line of defense. Oh, you can't see that very well. Bad color choice. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. Let's go with this pink. Okay. So we'll go down here, and you can really see how and then over to the ring road over here, right? That's the ring road right up here, pushing down onto these little settlements right here, and then capping, this low ground too right here. Should not be too difficult, and then pushing out along the ridgeline. So this is the flower that we're talking about. The Russians will be able to go in every direction. And then once they get all of this, there is no more, competing high ground in the region. So the Russians should be able to expand out of this flower even greater after that point. Remember, the defenses back here get weaker and weaker, and the Russians are finding gaps in the Ukrainian lines now to capitalize on. So good. All right. Back over to the map. We got one more update for you guys, and you can see how far the Russians have come through the lines of defense here. This line is completely done, and then this line is cut and broken up, and now it's kind of in a weird defensive position. So, all right. Okay, final update up here in Chasivka. The Russians have likely captured most of the town, if not all of the town at this point. And this puts Kotelivka in a very difficult position as well. So we can expect these two areas to fall. It is on an important high ground here. Once these two areas fall and the flat line is leveled, the Russians will be able to push out and meet this highway. Again, roads are very important up in this northern section, and they will begin pushing up and compromising this entire northern section. We got some reports today that from the Ukrainian National Guard or Guard Service that the Russians are preparing a massive amount of troops in the Kharkov-Belgorod border region in preparation for an operation on May 9th. I would caution against this greatly, guys. I haven't seen any evidence of this. I haven't seen any buildup. I haven't heard any reports from the Russians about this. Usually the Russians would be talking about it. And I also, the Ukrainians tend to do this a lot where they will overhype an offensive down towards Kharkov or something like that. They make a big deal out of it, send us more, this, that, and the other. Also, giving a specific date, May 9th, is like the biggest red flag ever. I don't know one time throughout this entire war where the Russians have been on some sort of imaginary timeline where they have to get things done for holidays and stuff like that. So that doesn't make any sense to me. That's a huge red flag when you're talking about claims that are coming out. Could there possibly be an operation? Sure. The Russians have created that district up here. I don't know if they're ready to go. I haven't heard much about it. Maybe OPSEC is just really strong and there's a bunch of soldiers on the border, but you would think we would get some satellite pictures or something. We have nothing, very little reporting. So either this is one of the best operational buildups I've ever seen in my entire life, or nothing's happening here. And it's just kind of holding Ukrainian troops up here for no good reason. I do think that the Russians are going to activate in late May. I don't know if that is going to be a large offensive from the north. Again, I would think that would be an appropriate thing for the Russians to do and build that security zone, and then continue pushing out, really stretching the Ukrainians. However, again, I don't see the evidence for it right now. And I think that the Russians are going to find plenty of opportunity here in the Donbass that they won't probably have to go in through the Kharkov, Sumy regions immediately. These operations are going to be much, much simpler when there's a lot less Ukrainian army standing in the way. So, all right, we got some questions from the same guy, Azam. When do you think Russia will push towards Seversk? Seems like the Ukrainians are holding strongly there. Yeah, so just like Kleshchevka, right here, Seversk, especially Bielorivka, this line right here, they have this. Whoever is in command of this area, the units fighting here have done a very good job. The Russians, I don't think, have been pushing here like significantly. There's positional battles. Sometimes like a little bit of territory will fall. You know, the Russians will push in and capture some of this. But I don't think that there's a lot of like high intensity fighting in this region. Not low intensity necessarily. There's just not a lot on both sides here to fight with. Seversk is not the primary goal right now. But as the Seversk salient becomes weaker, just as the overall Ukrainian military becomes weaker, you're going to start to see more of these little advances by the Russians into areas that are difficult for the Ukrainians to control. In terms of timeline, I think I think a lot of what you see as the front line right now is going to collapse here in the near future. So not so much the Russians pushing in, but the Ukrainians needing to make strategic decisions about where they're going to be spread out. They need to minimize this front line because they're getting cooked across this entire thing right now, and it's not working out for them very well. All right. According to Dima, Russians have taken half of Robotny. Is this true? Yes, I'm just being very cautious about how I'm updating my map right now. So what it appears like is that the Russians have captured this northern tree line, captured most of the village, if not all of it. But at the current moment, the last thing I heard was that the northern part was potentially still in the gray zone. Until we have full confirmation, I'll actually, see this in purple. We do have a geolocation right here. Boys, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I don't know what is. I spent so much money on this PC, and it keeps dropping the every USB connection I have. So I'm gonna have to get in there and do something and make it work. That's pissing me off. That made me so mad. That made me so mad. Still no sound. Can you guys hear me? Hello, 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 hello. Can you guys tell me if you can hear me? Okay, you can hear me. All right, cool. All right. Sorry about that. That was stupid. I'm not very happy with my computer's performance right now. That is very frustrating, and I apologize for that interruption. But what I was saying was Robitny is likely half captured as we speak. So I'm going to take us over to that map. That's very frustrating. Sorry, guys. So Robitny is half captured. In the near future, we will likely see the Russians fully capture it, and then this entire salient should collapse. There's no reason for the Ukrainians to be down here anymore. And then that will be the entirety of the Ukrainian counteroffensive reversed. That and Klishchivka. So those two areas, as soon as that's done, the Ukrainian counteroffensive is completely reversed. All right. I love you too, brother. Greetings from Germany. Sweet. All right. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and get some questions in. I'm going to talk about the recent strike in Odessa. This got made the news because some civilians died, and it's important to discuss these events as they happen. So there was a Russian missile strike alert over Odessa yesterday. The missile, the Russian missile, I believe, at the current time, was targeting this boat storage port harbor little area right here. So, you know, potentially, obviously, there are homes around. It is a potential civilian area for sure. However, during martial law and during a war, especially in Ukraine on the Black Sea, all of this belongs to the AFU. So these are not civilian boats. I don't even think that there are civilian boats in Ukraine. I believe last year, in preparation for the counteroffensive, all of Nikolaev and most of Odessa's private boats were seized by the government for use in the transport of materials across the river. So the strike was filmed from this location right here. You could see the cluster munitions open up over this boat area. It's literally in this area. You see shrapnel hitting over here. And on those ballistics, I think their munition spread is about their munition spread is about 100 meters. So what is that, 300 feet? Something like that. So yeah, something like that, somewhere in this area, right? Something like this. I think most of the civilian casualties came from this Harry Potter castle, is what they called it, that was hit over here. Yeah, you can see, I think this is Quidditch. Is this a Disney thing? It's a park. But yeah, it's this is the Harry Potter castle, I guess. That's what they called it. And this was hit and caught fire. And I believe that this is where some of the civilians were injured, which is quite the distance away from where the cluster munition actually opened. I'm not saying that it's impossible that the Russians hit this building and lit it on fire. I'll actually show a picture of that so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But there was a lot of confusion when this event happened from the Ukrainian reporting. And usually that ends up becoming an omission for what happened. So I'm going to take us over to my Twitter real fast. Okay. And I'm going to show you the castle on fire, which they said that they shot the missile down. This is the official Ukrainian bot of Odessa. So they claimed that they shot the missile down. Obviously, this was immediately. That's what they always claim. They shot the missile down. But this is quite far away from where the cluster munition actually opened. And at the scene, they presented these square shrapnel charges, which, if anybody knows how cluster munitions do not use square shrapnel like this. These are pre-cut pieces of shrapnel that are in the warheads of like S-300 missiles. You can Google this. So I mean, you can see square shrapnel holes quite frequently when these missiles hit. It's a telltale sign of air defense failure. So at least at the Harry Potter castle, it appears that the damage was done with a air defense missile, whereas over here at the boatyard, or whatever you would call it, harbor or port or whatever. It's a very small port facility. I don't know. Harbor, I guess. Boating club, sports club. This was the intended target. I'm sure the boats are being used. The area is probably being used by the AFU to run operations in the Black Sea. I mean, that's what I would do. So, potentially and this is another thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Potentially an instance where the Russian military has reduced their what would you say, threshold of civilian casualties when it comes to strikes that are military but will endanger civilians. And this is what I talked about. The Ukrainians invading Belgorod, the Ukrainians striking oil refineries, this, that, and the other. The Russians weren't fighting a war in the brutal sense that everybody expected the Russians to come in and fight this war. They expected infrastructure strikes minute one, a brutal war, leveling cities until the surrender came. That's why the whole 3 days to Kiev thing came up in Western talk, was because they thought that Russia was going to brutalize the Ukrainian people and Ukrainian army. Didn't end up happening. But what you're now seeing, and what you could potentially be seeing in the future, is a reduction of like safety guarantees for Ukrainian civilians that are around military targets. So, I mean, this could definitely be a mixed target where you have AFU running boat operations out of this little harbor bay, and then there's also civilians in the area. That's technically a war crime, but nobody's going to call Ukraine on that war crime because whatever. But right now I'm like 50-50. I can't tell. I don't know where the casualties happened. They're being very restrictive with their information. So I think most of the casualties happened over here at the Harry Potter castle when the air defense missile came in. That's where I saw the picture of I'm pretty sure this is where the lady with her dog was. And this is where a lot of the other casualties happened. And then I don't think I saw anything over here, but also it's very hard to tell when you're just looking at, somebody on the side of the road. So if anybody has more information, please DM me with it. I'm interested in the truth. I don't care if Russia committed a war crime. I'll call it a war crime. If Ukraine's making propaganda up to cover their asses and make it seem like Russia's bad, I'll call that. I don't have a horse in this race, guys. All right, we got another question from Arzam again. Sorry. Heard about Zelensky trying to negotiate for a 10-year plan of money and aid with Biden. Crazy how they want to extend it for that long. Yeah, I mean, this is a Ukraine project, right? This is a foreign policy disaster that Biden does not want to be responsible for. The Democrats do not want to be responsible for, and what they're trying to do is potentially tie the hands of the next two presidents into delivering this endless aid to Ukraine. It's a horrible decision. I hope that it does not succeed, because that's just money that's just going away. And all of these loans are never going to be repaid. I don't know who the fuck anybody's trying to fool with that, but yeah, that's not going to happen. All right. If you guys had some questions, go ahead and get some questions in, but I think I am done for the day. That That crash messed me up. I was not very happy about that. Very, very frustrating. Oh, greetings in Egypt. That's awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Why not 10 years? Why not 100 years? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, if you guys got some questions, go ahead and get them in. Quick, and then if no questions come in, I'll wrap it up. What up, Noodles? All right, guys. I'm gonna take it off. Oh wait, who is your favorite side character from Berserk? I like the. Oh my god, I was just watching it. I literally was just watching it. Hold on. Why can't I think of his name? It's the big, the egg of the perfect world. That's my favorite character. All right, guys. I will see you later. Have a good one. Take care. Be safe. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be back. Bye, guys.